Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Peyton, for those of you who don't know me, just a few. But tonight I have, for one of my finals, I'm going to recite an excerpt from Plato's Timaeus. So if you would all like to listen, that would be great. Yes, so just a little biographical information on Plato. He was a philosopher, lived around 300 BCE. Socrates was his teacher, and then he went on to teach Aristotle. And in his work, you can often see his Socratic influences in his Socratic questioning and the way that he doesn't just teach at his students, but tries to draw the answers out of them, which is a common practice to even use today. He also founded the Academy in Athens, which was a huge thing in the education of the Western world and developing that. So the reason that I chose the passage I chose today was because as science majors, we are interested in our origins and thinking about where we came from and how that influences us as people and how that influences the world that we live in and where we're going. And this idea is not just important for scientists, but it's also important for philosophers, and the passage I chose today is actually speaking about how order is ingrained into the very fabric of the universe that we live in. And so, and how through that order, that's what we find beauty in, which is very applicable as scientists. So as I say this passage, and forgive me if I make mistakes, but as I say the passage, just be thinking how this idea of a meta-narrative and where we came from and who we are now and where we're going, this idea and how it affects you both as a scientist and thinking about order and beauty in the bigger picture. Okay, so here it goes. Now, let us state the reason why becoming and the universe were framed by him who framed them. He was good, and what is good never has any particle of envy in it whatsoever. And being without envy, he desired everything to be as like himself as possible. This is the proper principle of becoming and the cosmos, and as it comes from wise men, you would be absolutely right to accept it. God, therefore, wishing that all things be good, and so far as possible nothing be imperfect, and finding the universe not in a state of rest, but of inharmonious and disorderly motion, brought it to order from disorder, as he judged that order was in every way better. It is unlawful for the best to produce anything but the most beautiful. As a result of reasoning, he found that among all things that are by nature visible, no work without intelligence would ever be more beautiful than work with intelligence, and that it is impossible for something to gain intelligence without a soul. Oh, because of this reasoning, he fashioned the universe by implanting intelligence in soul in body, and so ensures that his work was by nature the fairest and best possible. And so the likely account, we must say that the world came to be in very truth through God's forethought as a living being with soul and intelligence. On this basis, we must proceed to the next question. What is the living being in the likeness of which the Creator constructed this world? We cannot suppose that it was any creature that by its character, naturally such as to be part of a whole. For nothing good can come from being modeled on something incomplete. So we must assume that it resembles, as nearly as possible, that from which all other living beings, as individuals and as kinds, are part. And which comprises in itself all intelligible living beings, just as the world contains ourselves and all visible creatures. Thank you.